Blessed morning to each and everyone. I don't know, thanks for fall back again, to Nicardo Media House Channel. I'm here to preview Group C of the Gold Cup. As I know, Gold Cup, it kicks off later, but guess what? Gold Cup not start until late Monday night. You understand? Where we will play the Guatemalans again. You understand? But I'm here, to drop my preview on what my takes and give, my opinion on other three teams, Guadeloupe, Guatemala, and also the Panamanian team, which is probably one of the big favorite to top this zone. But as I said, the Reggae Boyz will try to do everything in their power to control this group, because if we can control the destination of this group, then we will set up ourselves in the knockout round where we can have less competitive teams that more we fancy to beat in the knockout rounds. But bless up to everybody, jumping on the channel. Remember, people, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And right after this, I will get into it and start to discuss, the Guatemalan team, the Panamanian team, and also the Guadeloupe team. But look, first thing first, I want to say this about the Guatemalan team. Look, this is a team that got suspended around 10 years ago, in 2006 by FIFA with some domestic, stuff that happened within the space of their football fraternity. And you look at how they climbing back the space and look at how they climbing back up the ranks and, to farm back a team again. This team, actually finished on 7 points, top their zone, the last Gold Cup, with a Canadian team, with a Guadeloupe team as well, and a Cuba team was in that group. So this team topped their last Gold Cup group. So we both of us, the Reggae Boyz and the Guatemalan team went to the quarterfinals and we beat them 1-0. Yes, they were the better team on the day. They played probably the most aesthetic football on the day, but we got the most important thing, and that was the W. So we can't, as much as we beat this Guatemalan team 3-0 in the last meeting in the World Cup qualifier. Look, Fernando Tenias, the coach, I've done a press conference about how, he played a little bit of youngsters, in that final third, a little bit of youngsters in the defensive area as well, and I still believe that this Guatemalan team, still can give us a probably possess themselves with a lot dangerous threat, in the Gold Cup coming up, because when you look at around even the Guatemalan team, they managed to play on US side a lot better than they managed to play, is either at home or playing away to our big top teams in the CONCACAF. You understand? So this team know how to play the football. Has look, I had a guest on the show last night where he was talking about when Guatemalan fans are supporting the Guatemalan teams in the US, especially in the Gold Cup, is win, lose or draw, they will go all out to back that national team. And so Fernando Tenias have his job cut out, but some key players, for the Guatemalan team, look, Oscar Santos, a player that scored a hat-trick on Dominican Republic, in their first game of the June window of the World Cup qualifier. He didn't play it at any minute, in the Reggae Boyz game in Kingston, Jamaica. A few players didn't really get, that minutes that you will say they're the starting. They naturally always be in the starting 11. So it's a mixed bunch of Guatemalan players. Let me say this with this Guatemalan team. There's only 3 players in this Guatemalan Gold Cup team, with an age of 30 plus. So the rest of the players, the 23 players, are under 30. So it's a very fairly young team, and they have actually literally almost probably a little bit over 50% of players that went to the last Gold Cup, which is in this squad as well. So it's a more experienced team. So I mean, look, Reggae Boyz, they cannot take this Guatemalan team lightly. Yes, we're going to beat this Guatemalan team. We have a better squad than the Guatemalan team. We should be beating them. But at the end of the day, if we not manage to play our A game and picked up where we left off in Kingston, then we can have some serious problem on the battlefield coming late Monday night Eastern time. And I just want to to say, the Guatemalan team, in the last World Cup, they beat Cuba and they actually drew with a Canadian team. You will say a Canadian team which wasn't a Jesse Marsh, but it was, I think it was I think that was Marabello, or if it not Marabello, it was John Herdman team at that time. It wasn't the strongest, but they actually got a point from the Canadian team, and that's very impressive to top the zone with a Canada in that mix as well, in that group. So moving on, I didn't left out anything in that last about Guatemala, but let me just say this again. They have a lot of players. They have 15 plus players in the current squad for the Gold Cup that they're playing locally in Guatemala. They have a few European players, but when you talk about experience of playing in their own country, this is a team right here, and this is what you will get from a lot of the Central American teams. They will have a lot of local based players in the squad as well. Moving on to Guadeloupe, the Guadeloupe team, the only team that in the Gold Cup this time around is not a FIFA member, this Guadeloupe team, and this is since 1991 they make their 5th appearances in the Gold Cup. They're coming to the Gold Cup back to back. We saw them finish what I think they're 3rd behind the Canadian team in their group stage of the last Gold Cup. They have 4 points. I think they beat Cuba, and I think they beat Cuba, and I think they drew with the Canadian team. So they have everything in their power. And let me just say this team as well have a little bit of mixture of local players. I think they have like 7 local players that currently played in Guadeloupe, but when you look at the players that playing in Europe, they have over 10 plus players playing in Europe. Actually, we have like over 10 players again playing in the lower tier of French football. So this is a team that is growing. They're growing in confidence. They're coming back with with a very strong team. They have 2 players on that left hand side. It's one of their strongest side of this team. When you look about the player that Rosslyn that played for Union Berlin, when you look at the player that named Python, you understand, a player that who scored. I give you a stats of the player named Matthias Python that played in the last Gold Cup. I think he scored 2-3 goals of last Gold Cup, and he had 8 shots on target, 5 of them and 8 shots onto the goal and 5 of them on target, and he had 11 successful dribble in the last Gold Cup. So when I watched that play, and I remember like, whoa, where did Guadeloupe got that player from? He's such a fantastic player, and he can give the Reggae Boyz a lot of competition down our right hand side, which you will say probably our weakest side of the defensive line for the Reggae Boyz. And look, their captain is a left back. Matthias Python can play as a number 9 and as a left winger. So let's see how they will set up their team. But let me say this again around this Guatemalan team. This Guadeloupe team. This Guadeloupe team, they can be a lot physical. They have a lot of energy, they have a lot of tenacity, and the pace and how they want to play. Look at how they played in the last Gold Cup. If we're not on our toes and playing our A football on the day, these teams can give us a lot of problem. And moving on to the Panamanian team, the Panama team without Alberto Garasquillo, a player that injured, and I think what he injured in the Liga for Pumas, still not recovered. But Thomas Christiansen, he's bringing a lot of players that played in the last Gold Cup, and a mixture of young players and a mixture of players that's up in their 20 but inexperienced to this level. So it's a mixed bunch of players that experienced and inexperienced, but they still have their core. Carasquilla is not there, but the captain, El Capitan, Godoy is there. But this player is the X factor for this Panamanian midfield, and his name is Edward. His player is Edward Sedano. This is a player that played last season in the 3rd tier of Spanish football. Now we're looking at the news that's flashing around this player. Looking at you have teams like Atletico Madrid. You have teams like Las Palmas in the Spanish Segunda is looking to capture this player signature. He's currently owned by Aliuense in the Costa Rican league. So He played on loan last season in 30 of Spanish football. He is the X factor for this midfield, and you say he's probably one of the perfect replacement for Carrasquilla in that midfield department, and he's pretty much unknown. He just made his debut, versus Belize when he came on and played 17 minutes in that game. So this Panama team, experienced coach, excellent team structure. They play together. They know how to get the job done, and when you look at them, back-to-back finals, Gold Cup final, Nations League final, not managed to get over the line. What will it be for this Panama team? The expectation should be a lot higher, and when you look at the Panama team, they not managed to get out of their group in 2021, but managed to top their last Gold Cup group. You understand? Managed to top that group, went ahead and go all the way into the final, and narrowly missed out by the Mexican team. So it's a very good Panama team. They're going to be excellent. But let me just say this: with the Panama team and the Reggae Boy team, when we play the Panama team on US side, we managed to get the best out of them. But when we played in World Cup qualifier, it's either we play at home in Kingston, or we played in Panama City, we struggled to get something from the game. But when we play them on US side, it is something different. So let's take advantage of that. We beat them the last couple of times when we played them on US side, so hopefully that trend can continue. But I see the Reggae Boyz have a massive opportunity to finish on top of this zone, because the team that finish on top will more likely will avoid the Canadian team, which they have in zone Curacao, Honduras and El Salvador. Should tap that zone, and the winner for group B in the Canada group will play the second place in our group. So the Reggae Boyz don't want to finish second, because more likely this Canadian team will finish on top of that group. So you never know, but it will be a more easier pathway to get into that semi-final, because the Reggae Boy, when you look at the last time when we make the final in 2017, 2019 semi-final, 2021 quarterfinals, 2023 semi-final got knocked out by the Mexican 3-0, got trashed in that semi-final. So we not managed to get to a final since 2017. But this team, the Reggae Boy team, everything seems like it's going the right way at this moment. Can we go ahead? Because look, the last time we really topped a Gold Cup group, it was back in 2019. Last year, but the last Gold Cup of 23, the US captured first spot in that zone in Group A. Costa Rica in 2021 captured first spot in that zone. So can the Reggae Boyz go one step ahead in the group stage and be that top dog in group stage and qualify on top and play probably a less favorite team in the knockout round, which might be Curacao, Honduras or El Salvador? You understand? Now we will fancy ourselves. This is it. When you playing tournament football, you have to make sure that you do everything with a plan, because you're still peeping over the fence and you're looking at, okay, I don't want to play that team, but if you have to play that team, you will play that team. But if you manage to finish on top, you must play a lesser competitive team in the knockout round. And if you look at it, there can be a US Mexico quarterfinal game if one of those teams not manage to finish on top of their zone. So that will be one less competitive team to face in the knockout round. So I mean, look, this should be a pre-season setup for the Reggae Boyz, and naturally as a Gold Cup that we want to make a mark. But again, the World Cup qualifier is our main stake. This is what we want to do. The World Cup qualifier, that is our bread and butter. This is what we really want to kidnap and capture and put in the basket of, knowing that we qualified for the next FIFA World Cup. But we want to do well. We want to be competitive. I want the boys to have a very good mindset of going into this tournament, not thinking of the World Cup qualifier, but thinking about what's ahead of us, and know that, look, this Gold Cup, we going it to try to win this Gold Cup. We going it to try to conquer the Panamanian team, the Guadeloupe team, the Guatemalan teams, and whatever teams we manage to face in the knockout run. But if you look at how things have been, pan out for the Reggae Boy team, seems like everything is going into the right direction. Leon Bailey seems like he's getting back to where he should play at the high level for the Reggae Boyz, you know. But he had an okay game in his last time around. But again, the Reggae Boy team seems like game by game we are improving, and let's see what this Gold Cup will bring to the table with the Reggae Boyz. Can we conquer Group C and be one of the favorite? Look, we have a very interested setup. We have a very interested sets of players, and you will say maybe the midfield is a little bit light, but we need to make sure that on Monday we take care of Guatemala first thing first. They will have all the backings. You know, hopefully, you know, the political issues that's going on right now on the West Coast doesn't carry over into the football, where the fans can actually go to the games, enjoy the game, watch their national team, watch their beloved loved ones, and, you know, look and support their heart of the national team, and, you know, cheer for the Reggae Boyz, and cheer for, you know, the Guatemalan team. Guatemala is one of the best supported team last Gold Cup outside of the Mexican fans, you know, so it will be a very good game. But I'm just looking forward, you know, for us to improve on what we already have as a nation, as a Reggae Boy fans out here, that we want to see good performance. We want to see the team played heart and soul. We want to start to see we played as a team, as a unit. We want to see the main players, the important players, that the Leon Bay, the Cephas, you know, the Mari Gray, you know, the Andre Blake step up. You understand, the defensive line, Nanalo, it seems like he is getting better, because he's coming off a very impressive season in Saudi Arabia. Narrowly missed, you know, of escaping the relegation zone with his team. You know, so things are happy, you know, around Damian Lowe at this moment. He's playing really good. Richard King is playing good. You know, what's the issue with Mason Oge with that injury? You know, the Isaac Hayden went down as well in the Guatemalan game. Hopefully we can have all these players, you know, fit and ready for the first game on Monday. But remember, Gold Cup start on Monday, not later. Gold Cup start on Monday when the Reggae Boyz kick off versus Guatemala. And people, if you have anything to say, that is it. That's my preview of Group C. You know, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Remember, on your way out, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Peace out, people. Ciao, ciao.